In this video, we're gonna be talking about the 3 major things that you're doing right now that is causing your prospects to ghost you. Now, for those of you that don't know what a ghost is, I want you to think you're on a call with a prospect and the prospect says, sounds good, let me get back to you because you can't handle objections. You say, okay, sounds good. And they never get back to you. And then you call them and then you text them and then you email them and then you call them and text them and email them and call them and text them and email them until you are blue in the face and still crickets. That's a ghost. Now, before we dive further into how we can increase the chances of getting ghosts to recommunicate with us, I just want to share with you that there is nothing that is absolute. So what we're going over today isn't an absolute fix. And anyone that tells you they have an absolute fix for it, well, your BS meter should be going off. But what we are going to be focusing on is increasing the probability of having engagement and communication into the future so that you can set yourself up to hopefully land more deals. So first things first, let's address why prospects tend to ghost you. Number 1, you're kind of in the friend zone and you're not really looked at as a respected, trusted authority during the sales process. And so when they're on the call with you, whether it's over the phone or on Zoom or even in person, they'll give you the runaround and they'll be nice to you because they don't want to hurt your little feelings by them just saying no. So they just give you some BS excuse, leave, and then say, I'm never gonna talk to them again. So that could be option number 1. Option number 2 is that when you agreed upon following up, whether it be later in the day, tomorrow, 2 days from now, you never set proper intentions and expectations when it comes to communication. So that's one of the big things that I see a lot of is that sales reps will get off the call and they'll be like, yeah, sounds good, I'll talk to you in 3 days. And they're not saying anything to the prospect about text or phone calls, emails, what's preferred. If I reach out to you, is this the best number? Can I count on you to communicate with me moving forward? What's the proper way of communicating with you? There's no discussion around that whatsoever. And then they get frustrated as to why there is no communication back. Well, it's because you didn't set the precedent. You didn't set the expectation that when I reach out to you, you should reach back. And I know you're thinking, well, it's common courtesy. You're right, it is. But we can never trust that the prospect is going to do the right thing. So we have to control as much as we can of this process, therefore increasing probability. Now, the third reason, I would assume this is probably a lot of you out there and you just don't realize it. And this one's gonna hurt a little bit. And that is that the prospect associates working with you more challenging and more painful than the actual problem that they may be looking to solve. It's kind of a hard truth. And so I think you need to go back, listen to the calls, listen to how you're handling yourself, the language that you're using. Are you very monologue? Is it one-sided? Are you constantly challenging the prospect or making them feel belittled, right? There's all these elements that go into communication that just turn somebody off. I think you've met someone before and instantly been like, I don't know why, but I like them. Or vice versa, yeah, I'm okay if I don't see them again. You might be giving that off to your prospects. And so it might be a hard look in the mirror of accountability saying, am I creating a harder obstacle for myself because of the way that I'm handling my calls? Therefore, prospects don't want to work with me. So hard truth there, but those are the 3 main reasons as to why I see people get ghosted far too often. Now, before we dive into the 3 solutions, I also want to say this. Amateurs come across as needy. Professionals are cool, calm, collected. They have a presence about them where they are detached from actually making the sale. They understand that the prospect needs them more than they need the prospect. And when you come across that way, and not in an arrogant fashion, but in a way of confidence that you've been here before, that you're an expert at what you do, well, it makes it easier for the prospect to want to communicate with you, and you're also not coming across as needy. Therefore, communication becomes easier and the desire to engage increases. All right, so let's dive into it. Let's address the 3 main reasons as to why you continually get ghosts and how we can fix them. Number 1, your cadence needs to change. Now, we just talked about amateurs being needy. A lot of the times with people who are ghosting, it's because it's either one end of the spectrum or the other, meaning that it's constant text, follow-up, text, follow-up, phone call, email, follow-up text, email, phone call. And the prospect gets annoyed. And on the complete other end of the spectrum, there's no communication whatsoever. And the moment that you forget about the prospect is the moment that the prospect forgets about you. And so then we wonder why they haven't followed up with me. It's because it's not their job to follow up with you. It's your job to follow up with them. So here's what you're gonna do. You're going to send a gratitude text message just a few minutes after the meeting is concluded. So whether you hang up the phone, you get off Zoom, you leave the brick and mortar that you're visiting, you're gonna follow up with them, and it's gonna say something along the lines of, hey John, just wanted to shoot you this quick message, let you know that I appreciate your time earlier. I'm looking forward to the opportunity of possibly working together. Send. That's it. Neutral, straight to the point, a little bit of gratitude. It's not looking forward to signing you up on Thursday, or can't wait for you to get started, or I know this is a perfect fit. Stop selling. You are sending a gratitude text message to let them know, hey, I appreciated the time. We had a good conversation. I'm looking to exploring this further. That's it. You want to send those messages because the prospect will receive them and then go, Derek's not a bad guy. And that's all we're trying to accomplish, right? It's just a little professional courtesy. So for this example, let's say that you scheduled your follow-up call a week from now. The next time you're going to reach out to that prospect is going to be in 2 days. So it's not going to be gratitude text, then follow up again, and then a couple hours later follow up again, and then the next day follow up again. It's going to be gratitude text, which is the day of the original sales call, and then you're going to let it breathe. You don't want to be down their throat. Day 2, chill, nothing. We're not going to send anything out, quiet. Day 3, we can follow up with a quick text message. Hey John, been doing a lot of thinking of our conversation. Excited to chat again next Thursday. Is there anything I can do to support you between now and then? Question mark. Send. I'm not asking him to buy anything. I'm not asking them to take any kind of action or call to action or download anything or giving them any kind of discounts. I'm simply coming from a place of service and support. So I'm staying in touch with them without asking them to buy something. That is going to be the utmost important thing that you can do. Now, they might respond to that and say, yeah, I actually have a question on this, or do you have any resources, or do you have any testimonials you can send me? Absolutely. Whatever they ask for, give it to them, if it's within reason, of course. So now I let another day or two go by. So now we're looking at day 5, day 6. By the time that we're reaching out, we're approaching the follow-up call that's scheduled, and another quick text message out. Hey John, preparing for our call tomorrow, was reviewing our previous call and the notes. I have a few ideas I'm looking forward to sharing with you. Let me know if you're still good with the call. Send that. Again, you're not asking them to take call to actions. You're not asking them to sign up or buy or do anything weird. And most of the time, if you play that cadence out, you will get high engagement rate and high show rate to your follow-up calls. Now, let's look at it from a wider lens, if you will. We want to put a follow-up cadence in place that is strategic and you know exactly what it is you're going to be doing on each given day. So I like to look at it as the first week or two. It's like every third day, I'm just doing a quick little touch point. Now, once I reach the end of week 2, I'll then taper it back where it's once every maybe 4 or 5 days. And then after that week is over, I'm going to just once a week. And I'm gonna stay at a once a week cadence for about a month or two. And then that will taper to once every 10 days or once every other week. And that will stay there for a good 3 or 4 months. Then eventually it'll fall down to just one time per month, and that will take us through the end of the year. So that kind of cadence, when it's strategically set up, can create a nice little rhythm in terms of follow-up, especially if your pipeline's getting full. And that also allows you to know exactly what actions you need to take for follow-up, for nurture, for pipeline management, etc. Instead of just being the typical salesperson and saying, I did some follow-up today. It's like, hey, I did follow-up today based upon the cadence that was laid out, and I know strategically it's going to increase my probability of getting someone back on the calendar and hopefully closing more sales. Now, the second thing that you're probably doing that is driving the prospect nuts, which is why they are ghosting you, we've already kind of touched on this, and that is going to be you are annoying. You're annoying. You are texting nonstop, calling nonstop, emailing nonstop. Go back to what we just talked about in number 1, set up an accurate cadence, something that is going to give some cool off periods in between communications so you're not on top of them all the time. And most importantly, make the follow-up messages, emails, voicemails, phone calls about them. Not, are you ready to get started? It's sending them materials that made you think of them. It's sending out case studies and testimonials that reminded you of their story. It's sending things out that might help them maybe gather the funds to get ready. It's sending things out that really resonate with them based upon maybe some common interests that you both have. The biggest thing with follow-up isn't that you're following up with text messages, emails, and voicemails to close the sale. It's to keep the engagement with the prospect so that you can throw in calls to action every once in a while if something's not on the books, and then set yourself up for a very relational, non-transactional deal closing and put yourself in the driver's seat. And the third thing, and this is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger, stop relying on automations. And the reason why it's becoming so big is you have ChatGPT and all these other AI softwares out there that can do a lot of this stuff for you. They can take a lot of work off of your plate. And by all means, I use ChatGPT for some things. I'm not saying to not use it. What I am saying is that we do not want to focus on just templated, generic replies that have nothing to do with the prospect, because not only do we know how to set up the automations and how to leverage AI, but the prospects also are educated. They can sniff out a generic message from a mile away. They can probably tell when it's AI, at least for now. So does AI and templates have their place? 100% they do. And I think you're a fool for not utilizing them. But what I'm saying is we cannot rely heavily on them. You have to make your follow-up as personalized as you possibly can. This will allow higher engagement rates, better responses, and more than likely driving more people to want to do business with you because you are responding to their challenges. You're responding to their interests. You're responding to the future that they want to achieve by working with you. And by doing that, it keeps you front of mind with them, and then therefore that door remains open so that when you go to ask to meet back up to possibly do business together, well, at that point, it's almost a given. All right, that's a wrap on the 3 reasons why you are probably getting ghosted and how to go about fixing them. If you're interested, I have a full lead nurture document that breaks down top to bottom communication cycles, nurture templates, what is a lead, how do we go about qualifying, all of the stuff that you want to see when it comes to lead nurture and sales follow-up. I have a free PDF that you can grab. It's going to be somewhere in the description of this video, so go ahead, grab it. Would love to have your feedback on it, and hopefully you learned a few things on this video today. We'll see you on the next one.